What is going on, everybody? It is great to have you with us. This is the 52nd episode of Under the Lights, 1 year anniversary. Although technically it was November 1st, but who's counting at this point? And beyond that, every single week, we did not miss a week. Now, there was a couple where I might have been gone, somebody filling in, or Dave might have been gone, somebody filling in. But this show has run 52 consecutive Tuesday nights, and we cannot say
actually.
Okay, 50. How's it 53 if November 1st was the whatever? See, this is what we do. 50 some weeks of this.
52 weeks, and then we have our week one over again. So it's 53 weeks.
Hit the roll in.
Let's do it. Hey, shout out to everybody who participates in this lovely sport. We here now. If you on that hit squad, then hit hard. Bogart and take charge. If you got accuracy to beat the QB, then let me see you throw it deep.
Gather around, Skull brothers and sisters. This is Under the Lights, brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk and Purple and Gold for Days. Happy Halloween for those who celebrate. Davey, how you doing?
All right, man. I'm all treated out.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
This is week one of year two, so 53 weeks.
That's debatable, but we won't argue about it on air. I'm sure we'll find something else more important to argue with. Let's get the shout outs. Dave from Vikings First and Skull is the first one in the building. Congratulations. I'm dealing with Dave right here. Congratulations. Okay, so we got us both in there. All right. Well, we appreciate you. Viking Gaming in the building. What's going on? Thank you so kindly for joining us as well. I want to mock Bob is right on time and early. Thank you so much, Bob, for joining us. We got OG, the McAndrews in the building. What is going on? We've got Mary, the matriarch of the Minnesota Vikings community on YouTube. Mary, thank you so kindly, as always, for joining us. We got our Skull brother, Dave, and he says, happy Skulloween. All right, we'll take that. We will absolutely take that. Hey, what's going on? Appreciate you guys. All right, let's see. We got Skull for Life Barber in the house. What's going on, 1975? We appreciate you also as well. We got Six Shooter Nation. What is going on, Six Shooter? Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Skull for Life. Skull for Dave. All right. I like that. I like that. Shout out to My Werther's Opinion, the single greatest YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, TikTok handle of all time, because your opinion is rarely, if ever, worthless, especially on our shows. But I digress. Thank you so kindly, everybody, for joining us. We got Roger in the building. He says, Bob, I'm coming to the boys. Okay, there you go. Thanks for joining us, Roger. We very much appreciate you. We got Clifford in the building. What's going on? Appreciate you as well. And I'm just scrolling. Okay, we got Dayon in the building. What's going on, Dayon? That's 2 days in a row. I finally got your name right. Finally got it right. So I appreciate you. We all both appreciate you guys, everybody in the building. If you didn't already do so, hit those like buttons. Wipe your feet at the door, as Rap would say. And if you don't already subscribe to both channels, again, upper left corner, Minnesota Sports Talk. Upper right corner, Purple and Gold for Days. We got another late entry. What's going on, Blowfishes? Haven't seen you in a minute, so thank you kindly for joining us. We're probably going to talk. You can see theme number one is trade, so we're definitely going to talk about it. But, yeah, I found that trade kind of interesting too, but we'll get back to that here in just a second. So, all right, Davey, what do you think about what Kwesi Adofo-Mensah or the Wilfs, what they allowed him to do? What do you think of the trade so far?
Well, I was kind of curious why we traded for a quarterback and not just didn't pick one up. I mean, if we're because it's a 6 for a 7th.
Yeah, it's literally they're upgrading their 7 to a 6. Yep.
We basically went out and got a free quarterback.
Yeah.
So it is intriguing that he has current experience, like he's just got done playing. Unfortunately, he just got done benched because his last 3 quarterback ratings were like below 60.
Yeah, he was garbage.
He did beat the Cowboys this year.
Yeah,
I went
just one win.
He was mic'd up for that game too, by the way.
Oh yes.
I shared that in our chat. Yeah, I mean, he's seems like a pretty solid leader. You know, physically, size wise, he's prototypical almost. To that extent, he's super mobile. Watching Tennessee film and everything, but I'm like, uh, look how it took Kirk Cousins to get a hang on the offense last year, mid-season, right?
Yeah.
And now we're going to bring this guy in. I'm thinking, my first thought was we're bringing in a guy because there's no way we're going to put Sean Mannion on the field as a backup. So that's the reason why I think we got him. And that just tells me how far out Mullins probably is.
Right.
Because I would trust Mullins over Dobbs.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And coming in here cold, that's a Josh Freeman catastrophe waiting to happen.
Disaster, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And his name Josh too.
Yeah, think about that. There's a symmetry there, by the way. Yes.
I'm like, come on, man. Josh
ain't lying.
is like 6'5", I think, but the first Josh, this guy's 6'3", but I'm all in on a Hall, man. I've liked him since we've drafted him. I just think we're brought in a guy because Mullins is not, Mullins is currently out. No timetable given to us.
Right.
No guarantees coming back after next week or this week. And I think we just needed another guy, and he was cheap. Yeah. And I think they like the fact that if they put in a guy, he's mobile. And if you don't know the offense, at least he's mobile. He can be a first ring and run dude. We can do RPOs. I think that's a guy you can go in and go, hey, let's play conservative, RPO the hell out of this game. And, all you have to do is give the guy 5 plays.
Right. Backyard football, so to speak.
Right. Give the guy 5 plays. So it is an intriguing. There's people that love him. And are like excited and like, oh, we're Steven saved. And I'm like, I would rather roll with Hall, man.
Yes.
I like Hall. I watched his week 3 game where we got to play with the 2s, and he put us on a 14-point lead, and then he got to play with the 3s again, and it was disastrous. Right. I mean, there's literally dudes that just parted the Red Sea on the offensive line and let guys just kill him. So, yeah, I want to see Hall with the 1s. I do.
I'm just going to say this right now. Jaron Mahomes Hall is going to start all 9 of the rest of our games unless he's absolute trash. And I mean absolute trash. So they brought him in my opinion, to just say, hey, we need somebody on the off chance Jaron Hall gets hurt that we can throw in there and play effort balls, backyard football, like I said. I do not see this as a, hey, we're going to have Jaron Hall go for a couple weeks, and then after this guy gets brought up to speed, we're going to go with it. I do not see that. They drafted Jaron Hall. They've developed him. He's been in mini camps, rookie mini camps.
They love him.
They love this guy. So I absolutely am not saying, I'm just not seeing it. Now, we could very well be wrong, or, Jaron Hall could be terrible, and then we got to have some other option. I don't know. But the fact that you literally just took your 6th round pick and got a 7th round pick back. So you literally just switch into 6 and 7 and getting a guy. And apparently there's some incentives tied to that where bottom line is whether they hit those incentives or not, it's an absolute meaningless draft pick for another absolute meaningless draft pick. So let me get a couple shots because we got a couple more people in the building here. What's up, G-Mac? Greg, good to see you. We appreciate you. Clifford says that tells him, in his opinion, that it's 80-20 that Kirk Cousins gets extended. I'm going to start at 1, and we're going to come back to that in a few minutes because I might have to slightly disagree with you. Now, Clifford.
I just heard KOC's press conference where he mentions that.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. By the way, Clifford, it is Carolina's 6th round pick that we got as part of the Ezra Cleveland trade. So, but you're right. It's a Carolina 6, so it's basically, a 5th round pick, but whatever. That just to give
which 6 do we? So what 6 do we have? Carolina's?
Okay, we took our 6th and got Arizona's 7th and Dobbs. We took Ezra Cleveland and got Carolina's 6th that awesome. Arizona had picked like up from something else, which is basically a 5th rounder. Yes.
Yeah, that's the bottom 5th. That's good. That's it. And I know people hate, and whenever you're ready to talk about Ezra, but
yeah, go ahead. Let's do that. Go ahead.
I mean, people are like up in arms that we traded Ezra. Like, oh,
Yeah.
he finally, and this and that, and he finally, and then we're gonna get rid of him. Yeah, because we're not gonna be able to afford him.
Mhm.
And Reisner's better.
Yes.
I mean, Ezra's good, but Reisner's so much better at pass blocking, and he's not bad at run blocking at
Yeah.
all. This dude's stiff arming
Which is
dudes down the field with one
why I
arm.
wanted this guy back in July. Okay.
This guy's good. He is our future. Where does the press go after the game? They go to freaking Reisner, man.
Mhm.
They want to hear this dude talk. He's like the fat Kirk Cousins, man. He's not that fat, but
Yeah,
I'm just
I know what you
saying
meant.
he's like Brian O'Neill. He reminds me a lot of Brian O'Neill with less Jesus references. So it's like
Okay. Now to address Blowfishes, I can see the logic both ways, where you've now got a backup guard if one of them go down. But as far as the compensatory picks, let's run this down here. There's a formula that the NFL uses to award compensatory picks. So they take the formula of how many players did you lose because you didn't re-sign them? How much money did they sign for with a different team? That goes into the input. The output is how many players did you sign and how much money did you give them? So it's not Danielle Hunter is going to be a 3rd round pick, period, no matter what. Ezra Cleveland would have been whatever round compensatory pick, whatever, that sort of thing. So with the Vikings having a decent amount of cap space next season, they're probably going to be signing some free agents. So the formula would have kind of bounced itself out there. So I guess where Kwesi was thinking is like, well, this is the top of the 6th round, which is 1 pick less than the bottom of the 5th round. Well, actually would be after the compensatory 5th round picks. Whoever gets one of those be after that. But I guess he was just saying, you know what, I'm going to take the top of the 6th round and be done with it, not knowing what I may or may not get. So, but that's just
true.
me.
And I did say we couldn't afford him. I think we probably could have because he's a guard.
Right.
But the dude's a tackle.
Yeah.
And but the Jags just basically renting him probably because he'll hit free agency. He's going to try to go to the highest bidder, and he's going to get what he wants. I mean, he's going to get picked up. That is no bones about it.
Yeah. Speaking of bones, Gary broke 4 ribs. What in the heck did you do to yourself, Gary? My goodness. I can't wait to hear that story. Can't wait to hear that one. Anyway, let's get a couple more shots because we got a few more people. We got a house call from the doctor. Dr. Proto's in the building. What's going on, Dr.
Gary, I want to see the Netflix special on that.
You ain't lying. We got Gil in the building. What's up, Dave? Hey, good to see you. Good to see you, Gil. Thank you so much. And we've got Steven in the building. There's no reason why Keoki couldn't put together that both Dobbs and Hall on the field at the same time. Well, yeah, there's something.
I did bring up that I could see a package for Dobbs running RPOs.
Yeah. We don't have any running backs good enough to run IPOs with.
That's right. One of the guys out on Twitter was like, he's got 3 more rushing touchdowns than Alexander Madison.
Yeah, well, there's that.
That kind of hurt.
Well, G-Mac, he makes a point, and we'll get back to this later here, but what else is he going to say about it tragically? I don't, yeah. All right, you want to go on to Cousins, or you got anything more you want to say on these trades here? Because I got a few things on my mind, and they might actually surprise you. So anything left on the trades before we get up out of here to the Kirk Cousins discussion?
Oh, I just the fact that we traded Cleveland is, I was like, now we're starting Reisner the whole year, and we're going to re-sign him.
Yeah,
that was me. I'm like, Kwesi forced Kevin O'Connell to start Reisner. And I'm loving that. And one of the things Kwesi does not get enough credit. We came into this season with an absolutely what we thought an atrocious line, right?
Mm-hmm.
He went out and got actually competitive dudes right before the season, like Quisenberry, and then he got that kid that used to play for Atlanta. But then you have Brandel, and then Schlottman came out to be better than I expected.
Yeah.
So, and then he had faith in the guys that we did have. And now nobody is giving him credit for that. Like, he stuck to his guns, put out his offensive line, and look at it now. It's like, I still looking at tape and watching Ed Ingram blocking Brian O'Neill, but I'm like, what the hell? we still one spot away, man. Either he gets better or we got to replace him. I know he's
Right.
ranked like in the 20s out of 66 or whatever, 64 guards, but yeah, he still has those dumb plays. And
Mhm.
Cleveland had a couple of those too this year. And Reisner hasn't had a single one of those bad plays. So I'm like, we've improved our team.
Let me get some shout outs. We got my guy Ryan in the building. The package with Dobbs and Hall could be called the Arctic Cat. All right, I like that. We got Too Evil in the building, Ice Tay and Angry.
It does sound like a buddy cop movie, right?
Yeah.
Dubs and Hall.
Dobbs and Hall.
Dobbs
yes.
and Hall.
Dobbs,
Hall
yeah,
and
there you go.
Dobbs.
In the Zone podcast is in the house. Thank you, Zoe, for coming out here tonight. We very much appreciate you, as well as our guy Yogi. Go sub to Purple Rain 247. Skull Mafia, our Skull Bro. Hall, the medicine. I like it. He's put that in every show so far. And shout out to Joseph as well. Reisner was ranked one of the worst offensive. Yeah, again, those rankings to me are just kind of whatever. But you can see the difference, particularly in the pass blocking. And that's what the shame is, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment with the Kirk Cousins situation, is that he was finally getting what we've all been asking for, particularly those who unabashedly support him. It's like, hey, we just need to get him this, this, and this, and we finally do. But anyway,
PFF raked him over the coals against the San Fran game. I watched when he came in. Did he come in the San Fran game, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
was it San Fran or was it? No, he came in for 10 snaps in Chicago. So that was his.
So
yeah,
he
right.
didn't get he got rated low in both those games, but he played phenomenal. So I don't know what they're thinking.
I don't either. Shout out to Evil to Hope with the $5 super chat. The season's officially over. Would you start more backups to preserve health or something? No, I would not go that far. I'd like to see what Jared Mahomes Hall has, and I'd like to see him behind that now much better offensive line, which is obviously going to be better than the 2s and 3s he played with. And I want to see him throwing passes to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson. That's what I want to see. So no, appreciate the super chat though, Too Evil, as always. Okay, so there was one more that I wanted. I thought I saw one in here. No, I guess there isn't one. So thank you kindly, everybody. So, right as I say that, I was about to move on. Shout out Tyson in the building. What's going on? Appreciate you. It's the first time I've seen you. So again, let's hit the reset button. If you didn't hit those like buttons on the way in, wipe your feet at the door. Get those like buttons up. And if you don't subscribe to both Minnesota Sports Talk and Purple and Gold for days, why not? Hit us up. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Kirk Cousins. I was about at halftime. I started writing up a script for Kirk Cousins needs to be in the MVP conversation. I know that'll shock you. And then he has a debilitating injury. We've been talking this whole time. Well, let's get Kirk an average defense. Well, we did. This defense is number 16 in points scored and number 19 in yardage. And that's a win. That's a massive improvement over having the 31st ranked defense last year. We just got done talking about the offensive line and how much that unit has improved. And we were about to get Justin Jefferson back after next week. And what I had said was find a way to not lose your chemistry when Justin Jefferson comes back. And Jordan Addison is just absolutely lighting the world on fire. But as we all know, Kirk is done for the season. And we can talk about whether he'll be re-signed or not, that, and the third. But for right now, besides the obvious, Dave, and in our group chat, I forget who put it out there. I think it was Yogi, but I'm not sure. Somebody check on Dave and make sure he's doing okay now that Kirk Cousins got injured. But jokes aside, Kirk Cousins done for the season. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess you can now realize what I'm like when we move on from a quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a big thing of whether or not I was a Viking fan or.
Oh, okay. Well,
so
okay. All right.
And yeah, I mean, the dirt hasn't even settled, and we're doing Dave on Watch suicide jokes on your nightly show.
I didn't say it wasn't me. I'm going the Shaggy defense.
The
Shaggy defense. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Shout out.
Sorry. Go ahead.
you have to be blind to not see that Kirk was having an MVP like season. I mean,
Yeah.
And just to reinforce that, you go look at the stat sheet. Both coincide, right? Second in yards, tied for first in touchdowns. Second in 20+ yard plays. The Captain Kirk check down has been a myth. He's always been in the top 20, top quarterbacks and 20+ yard throws. But we just recency bias. We see our games and then we see the highlights of the other teams. So now Dobbs is, I got a little scouting report on him from a dude, and he is Captain Checkdown. He's safe with the ball. He's everything we think Kirk Cousins is, except mobile.
Right. Except a little mobility.
Yeah,
right.
he's going to be a safe thrower. He doesn't throw a lot of picks. I mean, he had 8 touchdowns and 5 picks in 8 games.
8 games, right?
He's had some, rushing touchdowns, like 3. So, Kirk is playing lights out, man. There's no doubt about it. The idea. I think a lot of people are cracking on Phil Mackey recently, pulling out old quotes of his.
Yeah, from 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. So Teddy Bridgewater's more accurate than Kirk Cousins, and things like that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But
So he's I in one of my tweets to him, I was just like, hey man, just take your lumps, man. Just take your lumps. Calling people dense and myopic. I don't know what that word is, but calling fans dense and myopic's not helping your case any. But just if you were if you were not on the side of Kirk Cousins, just read the room right now. I think people underestimated the support this guy had in the locker room and with fans. I always talked about my my polls, and I follow a lot of people. I don't just I'm not followed by a lot of people. I follow a lot of people. So when I put out those and everybody, I got all sorts of Kirk haters, as far as or people that were middle of the road on him, quote unquote. And it was always 70% or higher in his favor, every single one. So I think certain former guests of ours have found out that they were in a little bit of a bubble when they put something out, and now are no longer on Twitter.
Oh yeah,
on two far extreme sides of the topic. I mean, I'm getting guys with Kirk Cousins and Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, that's okay.
Coming after me. Yeah, like they're insinuating that Kirk Cousins and Osama bin Laden are the same person.
Yeah,
and they're coming after me.
There's
a lot of just. I mean, read the room. Why be that guy? That's what I'm thinking. Then to see him the next day rolling around in the practice facility signing autographs for little kids for Halloween. That guy had every excuse to stay home. Every excuse to stay home. So right now there's a big groundswell of support, grassroots support for Kirk, and KOC feels it right now. I think.
Yeah,
I think
of course he really
does. That was his guy.
Well, it was. Hey, this team was starting to come together. If we had lost to either Chicago or San Francisco or both, we would have been either 2-5 or 1-6, and it would have been sell.
Speaking of that, I should have bet you.
Yeah, well, yes, you should have. You absolutely, you would have clinched it already.
Yeah, I would have clinched it already.
Yeah. The point is that they were starting to turn it around. My original assessment that would be that they would be 3-4 after 7 games, and then they'd beat Green Bay to get back to 500, and that's exactly what they did. They just simply didn't do it the way I thought they were going to. But alas, the defense has made progress every single week. The offensive line has made progress every single week. So a lot of things were coming together, and any head coach is going to be like, seriously, I lost my quarterback. when we were starting to figure things out. Let me real quick get to a couple shout outs here. First off, Viking Gaming, you would have traded Davenport. Nobody would have taken Davenport. You couldn't have. You couldn't
He's
have.
on the
Yeah.
IR, and
That just wasn't going to happen.
He's going to be out more than 4 weeks too.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Reggie in the building. Hall monitor is where's your bleeping hall pad? All right, I like that, Reggie. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. We got Two-Tone Tony in the building. What's going on?
I heard these two, the Mormon Missile, and then what was the other one? It was the dork from Spanish Fork, because that's his hometown.
That's a bit of a stretch, but
Yeah.
I digress. What's up, Tony? Thanks, everybody.
And
And
trademarking it.
we got Sarah in the house. We got both the queens. There we go. We can still like Kirk as a person and still want to try a different way. Yeah.
Yeah, sure you can.
So there you
No
go.
one ever faults you for it. You can go a different way.
You can go your own way. That's 2 nights in a row. I've done some crappy karaoke, but I digress. We got a couple more people. I just saw a few more coming in here. Where's it? Mr. McFadden. I hate when this thing moves right when I click on it. Shout out Mr. McFadden. I know Caleb Williams looking at Jordan Addison say, well, that ain't going to happen now. There's no way that's going to happen. Shout out to T-Bass in the building.
I have the sense that Caleb Williams is going to follow a little farther in the draft. He's not going to be the first guy taken.
I don't think he was either. And I said 3 weeks ago that I was on the Drake May bandwagon, but both of those scenarios are just not going to happen. Who have they so far? 3 worst teams in NFL and San Francisco teams. Well, yes, that's true that the Vikings have only beaten Green Bay, Chicago, Carolina. Now, yeah, San Francisco doesn't look as good. I think they'll probably get it turned around. They're missing a couple players, Deebo Samuels in particular. But you're right, T-Bass, as always, that
and we kind of forget how we play against KC in Philly.
Yeah,
we really do. We really forget that. And where were these games played?
Well, one was
and
in
who
Philly.
are they played without?
One was in Philly and one was at US Bank Stadium.
I'm talking about the wins he's talking about that were played against really bad teams or whatever.
Oh, well, yeah,
like,
we didn't have Justin Jefferson.
Where were these games played?
Yeah.
And you said this one time right after the Bears game. I guess we can put it to rest what Kirk Cousins is without Justin Jefferson. Yeah, we can. We're 3-0.
Well, okay, you're right. We're 3-0.
Sometimes statements come back to nip you in the butt a little bit.
Well,
but yeah, we're 3-0 without Justin Jefferson
right now. At that
right
point
now.
in time, the offensive line and the defense haven't progressed. But hey, it is what it is. As far as your point though about staying in the games with Kansas City and Philly, I'm not one for moral victories, but I get your overall point. And at the end of the day,
we got screwed over by the refs against Kansas City.
How?
And,
the Jordan Addison bit?
Come on. There wasn't just one, but 2 pass interference calls. And we dropped 7 passes.
Well, that's not on the refs. What I was just about to say, if Alexander Madison catches the screen pass, we don't have to worry about Jordan Addison's pass interference.
I'm not talking about moral victories. I'm just talking about, hey, look how we played against one of the best teams in the AFC and the best team in the NFC. It took them 4 turnovers to beat us.
Okay. That's on us. That's on us.
Okay, so San Francisco sucks too then.
No.
They had 3 turnovers against us.
That doesn't mean they suck.
Right. So it's an equivalency. San Francisco had 3 turnovers against us and lost. We had 4 against Philly and still had the ball at the end of the game.
What I'm saying is, Here's what I'm saying.
You cannot look back and not add the fact that we played well except for turnovers.
Well, here's what I'm saying. If we're going to say that the Vikings are better because we would have beaten Philly had we not turned the ball over, then the equivalent would be San Francisco would have won if they had not turned the ball over.
We played good. We were a
tough
team.
We played good, but for the turnovers.
We were a tough team against those 2 teams. Okay. It's okay to say that.
It's also okay to say that you can't call yourself a good team at the time when you're turning the ball over.
I said, yeah, you can say you're a bad team because you have turnovers, but you cannot say that our offense wasn't killing it. You can't say our defense wasn't playing good. It was, hey, though people ask me all the time, well, what evidence did you have that we were good, that we could beat San Francisco? And I pointed to those games. And I'm like, and then what do? We beat San Francisco. So it's like, hey, ever since we got those gladiator bungee sticks, we're 3-0
weeks, but no,
we're 3-0, and we went from 32nd in the first 4 games in turnovers to 4th in giveaways. So, hey, we were able to turn it around. The first 4 games did not service the next 4 games because we did not nearly turn the ball over even like at 1/4 amount of the time. So yeah, we turned it around, man, and it's
Well, we'll
because we
see.
had a good team.
Well, you might still. I mean, again, regardless, yes, kind of like when losing Justin Jefferson made the task more difficult. Obviously, losing Kirk Cousins is going to make the task more difficult. But even without,
Well, we
Kirk
might go
Cousins,
undefeated at this rate. We lose
Well-
more players. We're 3-0 without Justin. What are we going to be without Kirk?
yeah,
let's do it. Undefeated.
Yeah, we'll be 18-0, right? But anyway, jokes aside, what I'm saying is that you still have winnable games. If you're now, what I said yesterday is on my show is your defense now is going to have to step up because now
In the run game,
yeah, your offense isn't going to be able to carry you as much. But if you can continue the defensive performances, and if Jaren Hall can just be a game manager or not turn the ball over, just do what you need to do to drive the car, as they say, you can still beat Atlanta. You can still beat New Orleans. And who do we have after that? Denver. Yeah, Denver. That'll be a tough game because that's going to be on the road.
You're playing a little bit better now.
Yeah, and yeah, Denver's definitely playing. They've won 2 games in a row. The first one against Green Bay was like, well, Green Bay's terrible, but then they go ahead and beat the Chiefs. So, and then after that, you got the Bears to the bye. So you can easily go 3-1 or maybe even 4-0.
D tackle.
Say that again.
D end. They just picked up a D tackle or D end.
Who?
The Bears.
Oh yeah. I think it was D end. And oh, by the way, speaking of San Francisco, okay, we've lost 3 games. Let's just bring in Chase Young to be opposite Nick Bosa.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
Yeah, the rich get richer in that department. Tyson says Vikings win 10 games. I could see that. Yesterday on my show, I said, you got 9 games left, and a reasonable expectation would be to go 5-4. Just go 1 over 500, then you'd be 9-8, and you'd have a shot at a wild card berth. Or if Detroit falls off, maybe still win the division. It's a long shot. But no, they still have winnable games. Their margin for error is now gone. The degree of difficulty has gone up, but could they still? Yeah, they could, particularly after one more game. You get Justin Jefferson back, and then Jerry Mahomes Hall is going to be throwing to 2 number 1 wide receivers along with TJ Hawkinson. So there you go.
The way the defense is flying around,
Mhm.
God, freaking our safety, Cameron Bynum.
Cam Bynum, yeah.
Just flying around like Superman.
Yes, absolutely.
It's insane. So one of my thoughts at the beginning of the year is that we'd be a top 10 scoring defense, and that's because we would get a lot of turnovers.
Mhm.
We'd still give up a lot of yards, but we've actually been more of a, even on both fronts. But and that's the fact that we started out giving up, like the Eagles giving up so many yards and stuff like that. We've finally been dwindling it down to where middle of the road. We can still get to the top 10 and scoring defense. It's not that big of a stretch, but and the teams we're playing are not offensive juggernauts. So
Right.
The statistics could show us as one of those teams. Not necessarily that'd be an accurate statement or not, but statistically we could. And what needs to happen, in my opinion, is the defense needs to keep that up, get the turnovers, win that turnover battle. We tied it this last game. That's because of the sack fumble at the end of the game.
Mhm.
And then if our our offensive line's rushing grades have been top of the books. We got to figure out who's going to run that damn ball. And I'm like Ty Chandler, Cam Akers, just got to find it and find the hot hand, because I saw some really bad choices from our lead running back in this last game. He could have got a lot more yards.
Yeah, to me, Alexander Madison should not be the head of the rotation anymore, and I've said that for 3 weeks now. T-Bass got a good point. Maybe the offense is better without JJ, not totally focused on, and that gets back to what I said about don't disrupt the chemistry when he gets back. Yes, you want JJ on the field, but don't feel like you've got to force feed him the ball. But now that we have Jaren Hall in there, we're just gonna have we're gonna have to win games ugly. We're gonna have to
go back to the Kansas City game. Justin Jefferson had 28 yards before he got hurt, and that was late in the game. So I don't think that was a thing this year. I think it was more last year
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I felt like we dished the ball a little bit more, or a little bit better this year, even though he had more yards. I mean, Justin Jefferson was having more yards, but again, last year we started out kind of slow, and it was pretty. Nobody was getting the ball except for Justin in the beginning of the year. And then we got better, and now I felt like we were getting better. And now he's not in. We're finding out that even KJ Osborne got 99 yards.
Right.
Right? He wasn't one of those. He just had a big play. He was the guy that was getting us the first downs. And then of course Jordan Addison, he had 2 drops that really kind of cost us. But yeah, he's a stud, man. It's a 1A 1B next year.
Oh,
or
absolutely.
This year.
Oh, even now. Shout out Vikings fan 123. Hope Hall is good. Yeah, to the point that was made earlier is, let's not win 9 games and then end up in the middle. Well, here's what I will say, and I'm just going to leave as simply as this: you give Jaren Hall a 9-game audition, like we talked about. He's either going to sink or swim. If he swims very well, and we get to 9 wins and maybe a wild card berth, you take that. Because now you've struck gold in the 5th round and that you have a guy, and you don't have to spend your first round pick on a quarterback or trade a bunch of picks to get one of these younger guys next year. And if he's total garbage, well, then you'll be in the top 10 and you'll know that you don't have anything in Jaren Hall. What I find interesting is every end of the extreme, and it happens in every walk of life. There are some that say, no, I've seen enough from Jaren Hall to know that he absolutely, if Kirk hadn't gotten hurt, was going to be he was going to be the starter in 2024. I'm just like, okay, you can't make that kind of determination yet. And then the other side, that was, I've seen enough from Jaren Hall to know he will never amount to anything. Okay, that's preposterous too. So to me, I'm saying it like this: I don't want anything else outside of injury but Jaren Hall for the next 9 games, so that we have our answer one way or the other. What say you on that?
So I mean, I wouldn't give him, if he's crap in the bucket playing like Sean Mannion after 3 games, I'm gonna be like, yeah, we figured that out. Yeah, we gave I've seen enough of Sean Mannion. I could, seeing Josh Freeman for 1 game was enough. Seeing Donovan McNabb for a few games was bad
bounce
enough,
pass. It's Donovan McBounce pass.
I was saying he was the best point guard in the league with those bounce passes.
Yeah.
God, he couldn't get the ball out there.
Yeah.
It's just
bounce passes and worm burners.
I'm not gonna say give the guy 9 games no matter what. I'm gonna be like, okay, let's see what Dobbs has now, or let's or give the job back to Mullins. I would think if Mullins would be our number 2 right now if he didn't get hurt. So it would have been his job.
But here's what I will say to that. And I said this during the offseason. I probably said it with you. If Kirk Cousins got hurt for 3 or 4 games, you go with Nick Mullins, because Nick Mullins has a higher floor than Jaren Hall does. But because
he's a known quantity.
Exactly.
I mean, this guy's got some game experience.
Yes, which is what you want.
Someone had a comparison. Let me just say this quick. Someone had a comparison between him and Casey Keenum. And I'm like, at age 27, Mullins had a better career than Casey Keenum. When we got him was like the start of everything for Casey Keenum.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was at age 29. So at 27, though, Mullins higher. I mean, career-wise, he's got a higher quarterback rating, but up until that point, better stats, bigger victories. He led 2 blowouts. He had a better career, career-wise, stat-wise, going into year 27 than Casey Keenum. Casey Keenum was non-existent. He didn't have nothing going on.
But here's my point.
28, then 29. 29, it was his big year with us, I think.
Here's what I'm saying. To your scenario, where if we lose 3 games in a row with Jaren Hall, and then you want to say, okay, let's see somebody. If we lose 3 games,
if he played bad, I mean, if he played like, holy crap, this guy was awful.
But what I'm saying is if we're 4-7 at that point, I don't want Nick Mullins to come in. I want to see if Jaren Hall can turn it around. You're making a good point
there, but yeah.
It's just like when we started 0-3 in the season, and you said, hey, you know what? We might be able to turn it around.
Coaches are going to want to win games. It's their resume. So, you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
yeah, I suppose, but
Yeah,
at the
it's not
same
going to be up
time,
to us.
well, that too. But at the same time, this coaching staff, this GM, they're going to want Jaron Hall to be something because they drafted him. You know, that's
Yeah,
another
true.
thing too. So,
I mean, it being a rookie, you know, and hasn't
Mhm.
played before, and they want to like see if this guy progresses, and they've
Right.
lost 2, and now we're out of it, kind of thing. Yeah, I could see that being a smart move, and I probably would agree with it. Will they agree with it?
yeah,
Though?
that's the key. That's the key. But
I mean, I'm happy riding the whole rest of the season with Jaron Hall to see what he's do, see if he can improve the last 3-4 games and look like the real deal. But what does that do for your drafting a quarterback situation? What if he does look like the real deal? You know?
well, if he looks like the real deal, then you make the determination. Okay, if he looks like the real deal and we get 8 or 9 wins and either slide into the wild card or be one of the first team out, then you've got picks somewhere between 15 and 18, and then you decide: do we believe that this guy will progress, or do we need to get another guy in here at the quarterback position? What I was see, now I'm trying to remember what I was going to say a moment ago. Oh yeah, even if Hall does start out 0-3, this is what I was going to say. What I was saying in the offseason is if Kirk Cousins got injured, but non-season ending, you go with Nick Mullins. Like, let's say he's out 4 games. Yeah, you go with Nick Mullins and you
Yeah.
hope you can go
That would
2-2.
be smart.
Right. But so what I'm saying is even if Nick Mullins wasn't hurt right now, this isn't a scenario where Kirk's going to come back and we're just trying to stay afloat. He's out for the year. So you go with Jaron Hall, period. Because at that point, like I said, I don't want Nick Mullins to, maybe go 500. If Jaron Hall goes 500, I'm listening to that because it's a different scenario. But anyway, let me get some shouts because we got a couple new people in the building. Shout out right off the bat to Joey Hawking. Even 9 isn't enough. Well, probably not, but I was just using that as an example. But thanks for joining us, Joey. We appreciate you. And of course, we got Mateo in the building. Kwesi is no longer the smartest person on the Vikings. Stop being so smart as well. Well, there's something to be said there. But jokes aside, thanks everybody for joining.
I think we like it because of like you said, backyard football. Like that's a guy you could put in there, and he's not a dumb player. He's a smart dude, and physically he can play football.
Right.
It's just he's not good enough. He's just not good enough. But if you go in there and you play defense, and he's never played with the weapons we've got. So let's just put it that way. He has never played with the weapons we've got.
This is true. And neither has Jaron Hall. But we'll see.
We're on the same page, man.
I know.
We're on the same page.
I'm messing with you. Now, being that you've got a show at 8:00, you let me know if we want to go to 50, if we want to go to 55. So, yes, I know we started a half an hour later, ladies and gentlemen. Dave went and took his son trick-or-treating. And Dave, of course, still has his show at Wrap on Vikings First and Skull at 8:00. So we're going to wrap this here sometime between 7:50 and 7:55 Central Time. Shout out Lemmy in the building. Do you guys think they trust Hall? Why did they get Hobbs? I feel you should have addressed the D-line. I said, well, we said it earlier.
Our backup quarterback is Sean Mannion.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And he's still technically Sean Mannion is still on the practice squad, so you'd have to elevate him to the 53-man roster and make another roster move. So when it's all said, that is
the whole idea. We had 2 quarterbacks, and one of them is Sean Mannion.
Yeah. So we'll see. And again, if Jaron Hall does get hurt and Dobbs has to go in, the whole thing is shot. Then it's just effort balls left and right, backyard football. Shout out Dave Thibodeau in the building. What's going on, Dave? Thank you kindly for joining us as always. So that's at least 3 Daves plus the host Dave. So that's at least 4 in the building. Yeah.
Everywhere I go is always a Dave.
Everywhere you go. Okay. Anyway, Jimmy G has Adam something. Oh gosh, Jimmy G. How terrible was he last night? By the way. Oh my gosh. He needs to retire. When he's not surrounded.
I don't get the reference. Has Adams.
Devontae Adams.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, well, circling back, anything else we want to talk about with the trades or with Cousins before we get to the Falcons theme here, since we got 5 to 10 left? I'll take that.
Oh, the Falcons.
Yeah, your second theme there.
So I told you to take over.
Yeah, but I don't know where those buttons are. You got so many buttons in here.
It's no kidding. What did I do with it?
Thank you.
Overlays.
Oh, it's over. Oh, all right. I'm sorry. I was looking at banners, but all right. Okay.
See,
the Dirty Birds.
That's why I got that.
Say what?
That's why I got this to do
Well,
overlays.
let's do it like this so that I'm underneath my logo and you're underneath yours. But anyway, the Dirty Birds, the Atlanta Falcons, they're just kind of a middling, mediocre team. I don't care who their starting quarterback is, whether it's either one of those guys. Frankly, I don't care. The Vikings, despite the fact that they just lost their starting quarterback, and despite the fact that they're now starting a rookie, they should still win this game. They have the better defense. Now, the only thing defensively that I am concerned about is, Bijan Robinson, because he's pretty good. Do you think that our defense will be able to hold him in check and do enough? As I said earlier, they're going to have to play a version of Zimball. If we're being honest, they're going to have to win low scoring games.
Is Heineke having a second revenge game against us?
How many games has he played so far?
I don't know. He played this one.
And by the way, why is Ritter hurt, or did they just bench him?
I think they benched him.
Okay.
Someone told me they benched him.
Well, they lost last week to the Titans, and Taylor Heineke was the quarterback that game.
But listen to this. Atlanta gave up 4 touchdowns to a rookie quarterback. So
yeah. So there you go.
That none of us wanted to draft except for Casey.
That's true. And if you guys really want the proof, go back on any of our channels and scroll back to that live draft party that we did with about 17 different channels. But having said that, yes, Casey was there. Now, again, it's one game, so let's slow the roll there a little bit. But no, in all seriousness,
someone put out a list of quarterbacks, and one of them was a Viking. I forget his name. What's his name? He played for St. Cloud, I think. He was Division II college.
Oh, well, no wonder I don't know.
Back at the Mike Tice days. What was his name? Bauman? Todd Bauman.
Oh, Todd Bauman. Yes.
He was a freshman. I was a sophomore when he was a freshman at South Dakota State, and he transferred to go play football.
I see. Well,
smart move, made the NFL.
Yeah.
But there's a list of like 7 dudes that 4 touchdowns on their first game. None of them, my friends, are Hall of Famers or even Pro Bowlers. So.
Well, there's something to be said there. Dante's first game, he got 3. They were all rushing touchdowns, but they're still touchdowns nonetheless. So Blowfish says Mannion will be elevated this week and Dobbs will be inactive, and that's probably the best thing to do, because again, he's only going to have 2.5, 3 days to learn any sorts of playbooks, and you've already got to allocate a lot of time to getting Jaren Hall up to speed. So I could see that. Speaking of revenge games, we also got our old friend Cordero Patterson over on the Atlanta Falcons. So you think he gets a score this week? Blowfish is calling.
Didn't he he ran a touchdown back against us already? He already had his revenge, didn't he?
I don't remember.
Oh, no. That was just a game where, like, I forget. Didn't he have a game where he ran one back on us? I remember celebrating like he set like the
I don't remember it, but now that you say the celebration, I do kind of remember something like that, but we'll see.
I remember something happened with Cordero doing something against us, but I might be mistaken.
Yeah, there you go. We got shout out to JD Brown 24. Hello, fellows. You're gonna be at the game. All right. Shout loud for us. And come back next week and tell us how many Purple fans were in the building. I want to see how many there were, how many they're going to be down there. But circling back to the game, because we got about 1 to 6 minutes left here, so we're going to wrap a little bit earlier. But shout out to Q, though. Hey, guys, I know your run game has been putrid but with Josh Dobbs, we can potentially run read option. Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit. We can
run it with Hall.
That too. That's very, very true.
Dude runs a 4.6.
Okay, everybody's saying it was the Bears. So week 1, 2019. Okay, all right.
It was the Bears. Oh, it was when he was with the Bears. Not
yes.
Atlanta. I thought it was something. I remember it being something. I forgot he was with the Bears.
Shout out Scoldger Shoot. I'm late, but I mean, you know what, Scoldger Soup? Whenever you get in the building, you get in the building. And that's the great thing about YouTube is you can just restart it from the beginning.
Did you have a 3-hour drive this time?
Say what?
Yeah, well, yesterday it was like I'm just got done my 40-minute drive.
Oh, yeah.
This one's at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
So you got a 3-hour drive, man?
Yeah, I don't know. Hope they don't kick it to him. Well, they just kick it out of the back of the end zone. That's very, very true. Yes. Let's not. He doesn't need to get another one against us. But with all that being said, I still say that the Vikings should win this game. Yes, if Cousins was playing, I would say the Vikings should win by 14. In this kind of game, yeah, and this is gonna be how it's gonna be for a while. If Jared Hall does figure it out and does progress, then maybe. But for right now, you're going to have to muck it up against the Saints. You're going to have to muck it up against the Falcons. You're going to have to muck it up against the Broncos and the Bears before you get to the bye week. So you got 4 weeks to get to the bye week. And if you can go 3-1, okay, you're 7-5 at the bye week, which is respectable. It's respectable at that point. But yeah, your defense is going to have to be the reason you win until Jaren Hall gets up to speed. Now, unless Jaren Hall shocks the world and throws for 4 touchdowns like Will Levis did. So there you go.
Guaranteed. Okay. Dude, the most points we scored so far this year is what, 28?
Something. Well,
yeah,
28 against the Eagles, if I recall correctly, because
we looked it up the other day.
We got 20 against Kansas City. Yeah,
28.
Yeah, 28. 28. Well, that's
we
the thing.
left so many touchdowns on the board, man.
I was about to say, we should have had at least 27 with 2 missed field goals against the Packers, and frankly, they really should have been up more than 10-3.
Well, with the turnovers in the red zone and all that, and like even the pick 6, we had a touchdown right before that, except it was holding. Mm-hmm. All these things, man. We should be one of the top offenses in the league, and right now we're like sitting around 10th or something like that. But we're better than that.
Well, like I said, I think
we were better than that.
Right. That's the thing. We got to change everything, and that is what is so disheartening. And I'll just hit the recap here because we're gonna get up out of here and let Dave rest up for a little bit because he's got the show with Rap here in a few minutes. But like we said earlier, we finally got a decent defense since 2019, and we finally got a decent offensive line. Everything that has been said, if we can get Kirk we can make some noise. We can do some damage. And dare I say, get to a Super Bowl. And right when we finally get all that, away it goes because he has a season-ending injury. It's just – now, I want to circle back to Steve's. I had this start. He's saying that he thinks that Cousins might get extended. I disagree, and I'll tell you why, and then I'll let Dave go, and then we'll get out of here. Take Kirk Cousins' name out of it for a second. If there was a free agent quarterback on the market, 36 years old, coming off an Achilles injury, we would want no part of that guy. So I'm sorry, but I'm not.
You're leaving out the part that he's played for you for 6 years.
Either way, whether he's played.
I'm just saying they know him.
Yeah,
they know him and are monitoring his. We're the team that will know him. And
that's
know his
true.
Injury.
But with this kind of injury, he's not going to be able to pass a physical in March. He might not be able to pass a physical until sometime midsummer. So to me,
it would be late. It would be late.
So you can't wait that long. You got to decide what you're going to do come the start of the new.
We're not signing a free agent, right?
No, so that's why
we'd either extend Mullins. No, Mullins is signed for 2 years, but we could keep Mullins, and then we have the rookie, plus we can draft a dude. And if we see him in OTAs and we're like, this guy's not ready, that would be the situation.
Right.
That would be the situation.
Well, Thanks, I said,
Mary.
Thank you, Mary, first of all. And thank you, everybody who's in the building here tonight. I think
you said as long as he takes $20 million, sure, maybe I'll think about it.
Well,
now here's the opportunity.
No.
Here's potentially the situation.
No, he's not. First off, he ain't taking 20.
With incentives.
He's not.
Hey, this guy's bet on himself so many times.
He's not taking 20. Yeah, he bet on himself when he was 29, not 36. There's a little difference. No? Okay. Anyway,
I'm just saying that there's opportunity there, especially the way KOC was talking about him today. So there's still a potential there. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying I want the best for the Vikings. And if we draft a dude that just impresses the shit out of me, or Jaren Hall is like ready to go, I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's go. We got a young core. Let's go. Lines there, go. Defense. Hopefully we get our defensive coordinator back. He doesn't get a
that's
head
the
coach
other
job.
thing too, by the way, is whether he's going to be back. But that's a
right.
conversation
That's a
for
scary
another
one.
Day. Well, I'll just say it like this. To me, I just really hope Jaren Mahomes Hall, I'm not saying goes Russell Wilson on it, but somewhere in that vicinity, and that he proves
Jaren Mahomes Hall.
Right.
You said it.
And
baseball players.
It's the bit in there, but I'm just saying I really hope Jaren Hall balls out, and that we just start him next season because he's shown us he's capable of being a starter, and that behind that offensive line and with these receivers, that we just go in that direction. Because as I've said, if you sign Kirk Cousins to a 2-year extension at, say, what would you give Kirk for? 80 million over 2 years, 60 million? What would you do if you are assured that he's healthy and recovered from his injuries? Which is a lot to ask.
I don't think you could say that though. So
That's not the point. That's why it's a hypothetical.
Well, if he wasn't injured, going into next year, he would have commanded over 40 million.
You're right. So I'm saying now that he is injured, his value has dropped, but
Right.
All right, fine. I'll go with Blowfishes. Here's what I'm saying now. He says 60 million over 2 years. So let's just say that would be 30 and 30. His cap hits would be 40 and 40 because he's still got 10 million for the next 2 years of dead cap hits. So all I'm saying is that I don't want to spend $40 million against the cap for 2 years on a guy coming off an Achilles injury. That was the point I was trying to make.
Well, and I don't think a second year would be guaranteed with a guy coming off an Achilles. So I don't think he could command that with any team.
I don't think he would. Well, maybe not. I just don't think.
It'd be a really hard pressed. We really fucking need to win type of situation.
My last point, because I'm going to let you get out of here, because now we're down to 4 minutes, because we never get out of here on time, but that's all right. We appreciate you guys. We got 30 people still in the building. Hit the like buttons on the way out if you didn't hit them, and hit the subscribe buttons if you don't subscribe to both of our channels. But I'm just saying that the problem we're going to run into is if you did want to keep Kirk, you would be risking a lot, because you're not going to, we can say we're monitoring him all we want. They're not going to know until at least July.
I think 1 year's not as big a risk with no guarantee the second year, but 2 years guaranteed to be a risk, because that's 2 years and we got that huge cap room 25. And that's when I wanted to move on. And that's when I wanted us to like start building a team around a rookie.
Well, I'm just going to leave it at this. I hope Jared Mahomes Hall just balls out, and
Let's
we don't
go
have
Hall.
to think about it.
He's the next Kurt Warner.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I actually did bring that up. Was it last night or was it Sunday night? I said, well, the Rams in 1999 lost Trent Green. Granted, it was in the preseason, not halfway through it. And then some guy we'd never heard of called Kurt Warner decided to come in, win MVP.
Bagging groceries.
Yes, exactly. Well, we're going to wrap it with that. Go on over to Vikings First and Skol after you hit the like buttons. And no matter which channel you're watching it on, go to the other one and hit the like button there if you could, please. Again, if you're not subscribed to both channels, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. I'll be back on Thursday around 8:15 with the Thursday Talkers on Skol for Days. Dave, you got a show with the GG boys tomorrow?
Yes, we do. Johnny Football is going to be on there too.
Nice. So again, come on back to Minnesota Sports Talk tomorrow night, and come on back to Purple and Gold for Days on Thursday night as we get ready to still, this many years later, exact some revenge on those dirty birds from 1998. Thank you kindly, everybody, for joining us. Skol to the next episode. Skol Vikings. Have a good evening. And after you hit the like button.
For year 2.
Say what?
Here's for year 2.
And here's for year 2. Yes, absolutely. We appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Go on over to Vikings First and Skol and watch Dave and Rap do this for another hour. Thanks again, and have a good night.